What's up guys, Longtails here, and today I'll be starting my first series on the channel, which is a visual novel, and a very classic one at that, which is called Katawa Shoujo, roughly translated to disabled girls, so take that how you will. I will try my best not to say anything offensive when I'm playing or when I'm reading, and if I do, I don't really mean it. But if you do take offense to those things, I will say sorry in advance, because it is not my intention to be offensive. I'll be starting this series as well as another series, which I have yet to start recording. Visual novels tend to be very dialogue heavy, and so this will help both you as a viewer and me to get used to my voice while I'm recording and posting these videos out, right? I'll get used to my tone of voice and everything like that, as well as if you think my voice is cringy and stuff, then hopefully you can get used to it, especially since I'm going to be reading a lot because it's a visual novel. I hope that my voice doesn't get too annoying for you. That's a big part in why I chose to play a game like this, right? And another reason is that I did want to start doing visual novels as like my third or fourth series on the channel. But when I thought about it, it's visual novels take hours to finish, especially since there's multiple routes that you can go. This is going to be a very long playthrough. And in the description below, I'll put a link for the website where you can download the game for yourself if you want to experience it, or if you want to see a different route while I am doing a route that you don't want to see, then you can go ahead and do that too. And I'll also put a summary in the description below if you don't know exactly what it is all about right away, because, like, you know, some people could get turned off from a game called Disabled Girls, right? And also, since it is a visual novel, most visual novels, like, I've never heard of a visual novel that didn't have sexual scenes, which is not very suited, obviously, for children. So, it's only happen when we get deeper into the relationship of each girl. But when it does happen, I will censor it, but I will still read it, because it's still a part of the story, right? But I will censor however much I need as well, but I will still read the scene as if it was still a story. And with that all out of the way, let's start the story. Oh, actually, one thing before I start is, question of the day is, do you like reading novels? And if so, what's your favorite novel? And would you consider a visual novel a novel or an anime? Because I would say they're both. A visual novel is in between a novel and an anime. You get the visuals, some cutscenes, and you get music in the background, but you have the heavy dialogue that you have to read yourself, right? And so, since I'm gonna be playing through this, I'll be the one reading everything, so you can always, like, hang back, watch this in the background. You don't even have to look at the visuals. You can just listen to my voice. Hopefully you're not annoyed by it already, but hopefully it will stick with you, right? But, you know, this is something that I've always wanted to do, just do Let's Plays on a channel, right? And especially something like a visual novel where I can just chill and read and hopefully make you guys enjoy such a amazing story such as this. And yes, I have played a little bit through this game, just a little bit, maybe the first 30 minutes, and the first 30 minutes is basically the prologue, so you're not really missing much from what I've seen so far. Actually, before that, I actually didn't think about this, because some of the scenes won't be playing like the beginning scenes because I've already went through them. So let me just go through them right now, I guess. Uh, the opening scene. So here we go. Okay, so I'm having a lot of disclaimers right here, but uh, basically, hey, what was I gonna say? Well, I'll talk about it once we go. So let's start this. A light breeze causes the naked branches overhead to rattle like wooden wind chimes. This is a popular retreat for couples in the summer. The deciduous trees provide a beautiful green canopy, far out of sight of teachers and fellow students. But now, in late winter, it feels like I'm standing under a pile of kindling. I breathe into my cupped hands and rub them together furiously to prevent them from numbing in this cold. Just how long am I expected to wait out here anyway? I'm sure the note said 4 p.m. Ah yes, the note. Slipped between the pages of my math book while I wasn't looking. As far as cliches go, I'm more of a fan of the letter in the locker, but at least this way shows a bit of initiative. As I ponder the meaning of the note, the snowfall gradually thickens. The snowflakes, silently falling from the white painted sky, are the only sign of time passing in this stagnant world. Their slow descent upon the frozen forest makes it seem like time has slowed to a crawl. The rustling of dry snow underfoot startles me, interrupting the quiet mood. Someone is approaching me from behind. Hisao? You came? A hesitating, barely audible question. However, I recognize the owner of that dainty voice instantly. I feel my heart skip a beat. It's a voice I've listened to hundreds of times, but never as more than an eavesdropper to a conversation. I turn to face this voice, the voice of my dreams, and my heart begins to race. Iwanako? I got a note telling me to wait here. It was yours? Damn it. I spent all afternoon trying to come up with a good line, and that was the result. Pathetic.
Yes. I asked a friend to give you that note. I'm so glad you got it.
A shy, joyous smile that makes me so tense, I couldn't move a single muscle even if I tried. My heart is pounding now, as if it were trying to burst out from my chest and claim this girl for itself. So, here we are, out in the cold. Once again, the wind stirs up the branches. The cacophonous noise and is music to my ears. Iwanako flinches ever so softly against the gust of wind. As it passes, she rights herself, as if supported by some new confidence. Her eyes lock with mine, and she lazily twirls her long, dark hair around her finger. All the while, the anxious beating in my heart grows louder. My throat is tight. I doubt I could even force a word out if I tried.
You see, I wanted to know if you'd go out with me.
I stand there, motionless, save for my pounding heart. I want to say something in reply, but my vocal cords feel like they've been stretched beyond the breaking point.
Hisao?
I reach up to try to massage my throat, but this only sends spikes of blinding pain along my arms.
Hisao?
My whole body freezes, save for my eyes, which shoot open in terror.
Hisao!
The beating in my chest suddenly stops, and I go weak at the knees. The world around me, the canopy of bare branches, the dull winter sky, Iwanako running towards me, all these fade to black. The last things I remember before slipping away are the sounds of Iwanako screaming for help, and the incessant clatter of the branches above. Oh, I didn't know. I thought it would replay. I thought it wouldn't replay, but here it is. But since I've already played it, let me just talk about like the what I was trying to talk about before I started it was that this, keep in mind, this game was conceptualized in around 2007, and they worked on this game for 5 years, and it was finally released in 2012. So some things might seem a little bit off because of it's not that far off from obviously 2021, but there might be some differences in the time and the maybe the words used and other things like that, but that's pretty much it, what I wanted to say. So I'll just skip this so that we can just keep going. Okay. It's been 4 months since my heart attack. In that whole time, I can possibly count the times I've left this hospital room, unsupervised on one hand. 4 months is a pretty long time when you're left alone with your thoughts, so I've had plenty of time to come to terms with my situation. Arrhythmia. A strange word. A foreign one. Alien one. One that you don't want to be in the same room with. A rare condition. It causes the heart to act erratically and occasionally beat way too fast. It could be fatal. Apparently, I've had it for a long time. They said it was a miracle that I was able to go on so long without anything happening. Is that really a miracle? I guess it was supposed to make me feel better, more appreciative of my life. It really didn't do anything to cheer me up. My parents, I think, were hit harder by the news than I was. They practically had 2 hemorrhages apiece. I had already had a full day by then to digest everything. To them, it was all fresh. They were even willing to sell our house in order to pay for a cure. Excuse me. Of course there isn't a cure. Because of the late discovery of this condition, I've had to stay at the hospital to recuperate from the treatments. When I was first admitted, it felt as if I was missed. For about a week, my room in the ward was full of flowers, balloons, and cards. But the visitors soon dwindled, and all the get-well gifts began trickling down to nothing shortly after. I realized that the only reason I had gotten so many cards and flowers was because sending me their sympathy had been turned into a class project. Maybe some people were genuinely concerned, but I doubt it. Even in the beginning, I barely had visitors. By the end of the first month, only my parents came by on a regular basis. Iwanako was the last to stop visiting. After 6 weeks, I never saw her again. We never had that much to talk about when she visited anyway. We didn't touch the subject that was between us on that snowy day ever again. The hospital? It's not really a place I'd like to live in. The doctors and nurses feel so impersonal and faceless. I guess it's because they're in a hurry and they have a million other patients waiting for them, but it makes me feel uncomfortable. For the first month or so, I asked the head cardiologist every time I saw him for a rough estimate of when I'd be able to leave. He never answered anything in a straightforward way, but told me to wait and see if the treatment and surgeries worked. So, I idly observed the scar that those surgeries had left on my chest slowly change its appearance over time, thinking of it as some kind of omen. Some kind of an omen. I still ask the head cardiologist about leaving, but my expectations are low enough now that I'm not disappointed in any more when I don't get a reply. The way he shuffles around the answer shows that there's at least some hope. At some point, I stopped watching TV. I don't know why. I just did. Maybe it was the wrong kind of escapism for my situation. I started reading instead. There was a small library at the hospital, although it was more like a storeroom for books. I began working my way through it, one small stack at a time. After consuming them, I would go back for more. I found that I liked reading, and I think I even became a bit addicted. I started feeling naked without a book in my hands. But I loved the stories. That was what my life was like. The days became increasingly harder to distinguish from each other, differing only by the book I was reading and the weather outside. It felt like time blurred into some kind of gooey mass I was trapped inside, instead of moving within. A week could go by without me really noticing it. Sometimes I'd pause in realization that I didn't know what day of the week it was. But other times, all the things that surrounded me would painfully crash into my consciousness through the barrier of nonchalance I had set up for myself. The pages of my book would start to feel sharp and burning hot, and the heaviness in my chest would become so hard to bear that I had to put the book aside and just lay down for a while, looking at the ceiling as if I was going to cry. But that happened only rarely, and I couldn't even cry. Today, the doctor comes in and gives me a smile. He seems excited, but not very. It's like he is trying to make an effort to be happy on my behalf. My parents are here. It's been a few days since I've last seen them. Both of them are even sort of dressed up. Is this supposed to be some kind of special occasion? It's not a party. There's this ritual the head cardiologist has. He takes his time sorting his papers, then setting them aside as if to make a point of the pointlessness of what he just did. Then he casually sits down on the edge of the bed next to mine. He looks me in the eyes for a moment. "Hello, Hisao. How are you today?" I don't answer him, but I smile a little back at him. "I believe that you can go home. Your heart is stronger now, and with some precautions, you should be fine. We have all your medication sorted out. I'll give your father the prescription." The doctor hands a sheet of paper to my dad. His expression turns wooden as he reads it quickly. So many. I take it from his hand and take a look myself, feeling numb. How am I supposed to react to this? The absurdly long list of medications staring back at me from the paper seems insurmountable. They all blend together in a sea of letters. This is insane. Side effects, adverse effects, contradictions, and dosages are listed line after line with cold precision. I try to read them, but it's so futile. I can't understand any of it. Attempting to only makes me feel sicker. All this for the rest of my life, every day? I'm afraid that is the best we can do at this point. However, new medications are always being developed, so I wouldn't be so surprised to see that list fade over the years. Years? What kind of confidence booster is that? Oh, whoops. I'd have felt better if you hadn't said anything at all. Also, I've spoken with your parents, and we believe that it would be best if you don't return to your old school. What? Please, calm down, Hisao. Listen to what the doctor has to say. Calm down? The way he says it tells me he knew full well that I wouldn't like it. Am I going to be homeschooled? Whatever of my concern shows, it's ignored. We all understood that your education is paramount. However, I don't think that it's wise for you to be without supervision. At least not until we're sure that your medication is suitable. So, I've spoken to your parents about a transfer. It's a school called Yamaku Academy that specializes in dealing with disabled students. Disabled? What? Am I? It has a 24-hour nursing staff, and it's only a few minutes from a highly regarded general hospital. The majority of students live on the campus. Think of it as a boarding school of sorts. It's designed to give students a degree of independence, while keeping help nearby. Independence? It's a school for disabled kids. Don't try to disguise that fact. If it was really that free, there wouldn't be a 24-hour nursing staff, and you wouldn't make a hospital being nearby a selling point. Of course, that's only if you want to go, but your mother and I aren't really able to homeschool you. We went out there and had a look a couple of weeks back. I think you'd like it. It looks like I don't really have a choice. Compared to other heart problems, people with your condition usually tend to live long lives. You'll need a job one day, and this is a good opportunity to continue your education. This isn't an opportunity. Don't call it an opportunity. Don't call it a goddamned opportunity. Well, you should be excited at the chance to go back to school. I remember you wanted to return to school. And while it's not the same one, a special school, that's an insult. That is what I want to say. It's a step down. It's not what you think. All of the students there are pretty active in their own sort of way. Oh, whoops. It's geared towards students that can still get around and learn, but just need a little help, in one way or another. Your father's right. And many of the graduates of the school have gone on to do amazing things. A person doesn't have to be held back by their disability. One of my colleagues is in another hospital is a graduate. I don't care. A person doesn't have to be held back by their disability? That's what a disability is. I really hate that something so important was decided for me. But what can I do about it? A normal life is out of the question now. It's funny. I had always thought my life was actually kind of boring, but now I miss it. I want to protest. I want to blame this lack of reaction on shock or fatigue. I could easily yell out something now. Something about how I can go back to school anyway. But, no. I don't say anything. The fact is that I know now it's futile. I look around the room, feeling very tired of all this. The hospital, doctors, my condition, everything. I don't see anything that would make me feel any different. There really isn't a choice. I know this, but the thought of going to a disabled school? What are those even like? As much as I try to put a positive spin on this, it's very difficult. But let me try. A clean slate isn't a bad thing. That is all I can think of to get me through this. At least I still have something. Even if it's a special school, it's something. It's a fresh start, and my life isn't over. It would be a mistake to just resign myself to thinking that. At the very least, I'll try to see what my new life will look like. Act 1, Life Expectancy. Alright guys, I think that will be it for episode 1. I hoped you liked this kind of thing. Of course, this is kind of niche, and I know, of course, some people will like it and some people won't like it. But if you are one of those people who like it, please like and subscribe. But really, this is something that I've always been wanting to do for the longest time, and I really do hope you like it, and I hope you get used to my voice, because you're gonna be hearing it a lot, obviously, for a lot of these series that I'm gonna be doing. But thanks for watching, and in the next episode we're gonna be starting Act 1. Thank you guys. Peace.